cash will continue to be short money, and that Bitcoin will be more prevalent as long money. So people who have a time preference that allows them to wait and save and be patient will benefit by using Bitcoin, and people that are engaged in activities that require instant gratification will be more involved in fiat currency.
Bitches in the future?
Bitcoin is the future.
Yeah, that's it.
What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. If we have a look at Bitcoin, it is still just chugging along. You can see we continue to put in these higher lows and still attempting to put in these higher highs. We're battling this area right here at around the $38,500 level. But I want to talk about something that finally actually happened after all of this time. How long have we been talking about it? You could see right here, guys, that the Super Guppy, yes, my friends, has in fact flashed green. And you can see that we are on the second week. Now, obviously, the week is not finished, but if we zoom out historically right here, you could see that whenever the Guppy goes into the green, we tend to stay there for a very, very long time, and it generally acts as the support for Bitcoin, right? Even here, during the bear market, we didn't even fall lower than it, right? Now, obviously, it's been a little bit different this time around. Clearly, we have come down below these bands, but as you can see right here, this is the area that we're sitting at. So if we have a look at the green, that area is around $30,900. So it would be very, very shocking to see Bitcoin fall down back into that area. And generally speaking, you don't see any fake outs historically. Now, I do want to just offer a slight bit of caution later in this video, but as far as the bull run is concerned, this is a major indicator. Now, obviously, I want to talk about these doom and gloomers, right? I don't know if you guys watch Alessio Rastani. There was an analyst over there, I forget his name. He does Elliott wave theory, and he's talking about Bitcoin going down to below $6,000. Well, in today's video, I want to explain, and I'm not saying that, maybe he's not right about it being, there might be a pullback at some point, but I'm going to explain why I personally believe, and the evidence is showing us, that these traditional analysts are missing the bigger picture. And I'm going to play you a lot of videos today to explain exactly my position and why this bullishness could actually catch on a lot faster than a lot of people are thinking, and price could escalate very, very quick, very, very fast. Now, I'm not saying we couldn't be due for a bit of a pullback, but I do want to talk about that. Also, the fact that we've had a mystery whale over the past week who has bought over 1,000 Bitcoin. So what is going on with that? We're going to dive into that, guys, and also just have a bit of a look at December. November's over. Clearly, we had a nice bullish month. So what should we be expecting for the month of December based on historical returns? So if that sounds good to you, you know what to do. If you're not subscribed, definitely consider it. I do apologize for the lack of videos. It's been very, very crazy lately, guys, but I did want to just mention, if you have been watching the signals over in the Discord for Meta Signals, it has been literally spitting out win after win. Here's just a few examples of the free alerts that we got right here. We had Aave. You could see right here, we didn't quite get up to the third, target right here, but we did have this amazing wick. So, I mean, if you did have, some of these take profits in here and here, you definitely should be up. And one that went absolutely bananas was BAT. Absolutely shot through all three of the targets. We had around 21.98. It got up to 23.21. So, again, guys, just, letting you know, obviously this is free until December 12th, but the first 500 have been minted as far as these lifetime NFT access, and you can see that it does get more expensive the longer you wait. So again, if you guys want to join the free Discord, you will notice that we've had a lot of success. You could see we have over 2,500 members, so definitely just check that out. But like I said, guys, the first 500 are gone already, and it hasn't even been a week yet. So yeah, obviously people are seeing some really, really good results. So Obviously, we're going to get to this too later a little bit. I want to talk about, this log curve extended potential prediction. But, just kind of pointing out, again, if you take the charts out of the logarithmic and you just put it in the linear, you could see how crazy these price moves really look in the linear, right? 2012, look at this. From, around $20 all the way up to 115, from around 1,200 all the way up to 26, right? You have and these keep going, 1,600 up to 60,000. And then, of course, this is what we're looking at right now. And, a lot of people, again, are saying, well, what could happen? Well, I don't know, guys, but obviously there is this whale that has been buying a lot of Bitcoin. They acquired 539 Bitcoin following the accumulation of 1,178 over the past month. So actually, this is even more than what I originally thought, 612. So they're over 2,000 Bitcoin. So who is this? Is this BlackRock buying? Well, obviously, we don't know for sure, but clearly someone, something, institution, individual, high net worth individual, someone is stacking up on their Bitcoin right now. So again, you want to kind of follow these trends right now. We've had plenty of time to be bearish. Everyone's had plenty of time to be bearish. We've been bearish for 2 years, right? Now is not the time to be getting bearish. Now, could we be hitting a potential top? I will go into that at the end of the video. But again, do I think this is the top? Well, obviously, I don't, and I'll show you why as I get into that. But why are we seeing some of the positives? Well, you can see right here, we did have, they say, recent data suggesting a slowdown in the economy and continuing moderation in inflation means that the U.S. Federal Reserve policy is in the right spot. Now, this is according to this dude, Fed Governor Chris Waller. So he says something appears to be giving, and it's the pace of the economy. He also said that if inflation were to continue to decline, there's a good argument to be made for rate cuts within a few months. Now, the reason that people are why do we even care what this guy says? Well, he's one of the most hawkish of the members of the FOMC. So hearing him come out and be like slightly dovish and say, hey, if we see this, maybe we can actually start cutting rates, people are like, okay, now we're paying attention because we know, okay, historically, technically, if you want to really be specific, when they immediately cut rates, it's usually not good. But generally speaking, after that, you tend to see a massive, massive rally, right? So we could have that short-term sort of, dump or whatever. But, talking about the new perception, the big picture, this is what the traditional analysts are not seeing. For example, Cynthia Lummis, she's over here talking about how Bitcoin is the future and basically how it is difficult for the older generation to understand it, to wrap their head around it. But she sees that it could potentially have a place indefinitely, not only just in the US, but even in the global reserves.
Cash will continue to be short money, and that Bitcoin will be more prevalent as long money. So people who have a time preference that allows them to wait and save and be patient will benefit by using Bitcoin, and people that are engaged in activities that require instant gratification will be more involved in fiat currency. Now, how that will play in the bigger financial markets, U.S. Treasuries, stocks, and non-government bond markets, fixed income markets, I don't know. I also wonder how it's going to play within the reserve funds of the world. The U.S. dollar is the reserve currency. But, with the rise of China and the yuan and other currencies that want to compete for a role within the reserve currencies of the world, with the potential for oil to be sold and bought, denominated not in U.S. dollars but in other currencies, really may change what constitutes the world reserve currency. We may go to a basket of currencies as the world reserve currency. And if that happens, I am absolutely certain that Bitcoin will be among them, and perhaps dominant among them. So these are times of great disruption as we move from the industrial age to the information age. And these kind of disruptions are going to happen, I think, more quickly than people my age like to realize, because we're just starting to grasp what this is all about. And, sometimes when you can't grasp it, you just think, well, hopefully I won't be around when this becomes ubiquitous part of our everyday life. I think that even people my age are going to live to see the day when this is a ubiquitous part of everyday life.
So speaking of these baskets, we've already heard presidential candidates like RFK Jr. coming out saying that they would be looking to have a basket that would include things like, for example, treasury bonds that would be backed by Bitcoin, platinum, gold, silver, and other assets. And I don't know if you guys remember, in one of my previous videos, I told you he also would be looking, essentially, to make Bitcoin tax exempt. So he would essentially say that Bitcoin is a currency, right? And if it's a currency, then it's exempt from tax if you're basically trading in and out of it, right? If you go from the dollar and you go on vacation, you get the euro, you come back and your dollar's worth more, you don't pay the tax on the difference of the swap because you just swapped a currency for a currency, right? And he was actually over on What Bitcoin Did, talking about his experience with Bitcoin. And, well, honestly, I'm just going to play the clip for you because I think it speaks for itself.
Well, I've told this story before that I had I was not really curious about Bitcoin. My kids talked about it all the time. My kids are very entrepreneurial and very curious, and they were, it was cutting edge for them that, this is the future. But I didn't pay any attention into the trucker strike in Ottawa when I saw the Canadian government go in and shut down all the truckers' bank accounts. These were people who were never convicted of a crime, never charged with a crime, but the Canadian government used AI, facial recognition, and surveillance technologies to identify the participants in a protest that was peaceful, that was like Woodstock. It was they were exercising a right that we all assume that we have, which is the right to petition, to assemble. And their bank accounts were shut, and they couldn't pay their mortgages. They couldn't pay their the gas, the petroleum for the diesel for their trucks. They couldn't leave. They couldn't buy food for their children. I have a friend who's one of those truckers who was threatened with jail because he couldn't pay the court-ordered alimony. So I recognized at that point that that transactional freedom was important as freedom of expression, because we have freedom of expression, but if the government then can punish you by shutting down your bank accounts without even charging you with a crime, they have the ultimate power to turn us into slaves. And, if they shut down your food supply, they throw you out of your home, they starve your children. If you say something they don't like, that's the end. So, and every power that government takes, it will, the rule is it will ultimately be abused to the maximum extent feasible.
And that's a very scary thought, just thinking about the fact that, you already have China that has this sort of social system, right? Oh, like, this is a bad person, don't talk to them. They're not allowed to buy food or have meals or use transportation, or you've overdone your carbon credits, right? This is a really scary thing, especially with these CBDCs. And, guys, like them or hate them, it doesn't matter to me how you feel. I don't take sides when it comes to blue versus red, whatever. I'm very single issue. But, even Tucker Carlson, he was over at this Bitcoin event, and it's a little quiet, so I have to put the words on so you guys can read. But even he agrees with this sentiment.
And this is the beauty of Bitcoin. And
I just mined it, though.
Well, but it tells you everything. If you want to know what's really going on, look at who's being persecuted and look at what they're saying and doing. So those words and those actions are the real threats to the regime. Obviously, these are not stupid people. There's a lot at stake. The whole world's at stake, actually. Your soul is at stake. And so if they're going after you, maybe we should take a close look at the people they're going after. And the promise of Bitcoin, of course, as a non-Bitcoin expert, I'll just tell you my view of it, because I think it's true. The promise of Bitcoin is not just getting rich from Bitcoin. The promise of Bitcoin is you're independent of control by the people who devalued currencies since Rome, and they do it in every single currency is devalued because no politician over time can resist the temptation to print more money because it makes them more powerful. So that's just that's something that never ends. They always debase the currency, even digital currency. And they want to move to a central bank digital currencies. They get complete control of you. If you disagree with them, you can't eat. And Bitcoin offers really a way out of that. And That's totally indefensible. There's no way Janet Yellen, who really is a very dark figure, is never going to stand up and be like, I'm against Bitcoin because it would disempower me and allow the average person to have a little bit more control over his own life. Never going to say that. She's going to be like, terrorists use Bitcoin. Really, terrorists. By the way, any terror group she names has absolutely, without question, received funding from the U.S. State Department at some time or other, if I could just say. Which is another way of saying, you have no moral standing to lecture me about anything. You are my servant. Please be quiet as I go about my life. That is the right posture. And the fact they shut down your bank account just tells you everything about how you're on the right track.
Our good old buddy, Robert Kiyosaki. Great news. Gold reaches new high. Bad news. Workers and savers are losers. Bad news. Been saying the same for 25 years. Don't be a loser. Get out of fake money system. Get into gold, silver, Bitcoin now before it's too late. Now, speaking of doom and gloomers, this guy has actually been quite a doom and gloomer, and, you know, he has been calling for this imminent collapse forever. It still technically hasn't come, so I suppose at some point he'll finally be correct, you know? But the one thing that he is right about is that you definitely want to get out of fiat money as much as possible. I mean, basically, this is what I say, you know, to everybody who asks me, you know, when somebody gives me $1, my primary objective is to either get rid of that dollar and give it to somebody else as fast as I possibly can for something that I need immediately, or throw it into something that actually has long-term value, like Bitcoin, you know, or you could do gold and stuff like that. But I mean, come on, let's be real, guys. Gold, you know, they're bragging about gold highs. Gold made a high 10 years ago. Literally consolidated, went down, came back up, 10 years later, same price. And they're all celebrating, and I'm not against gold, okay? But is gold really a store of value at this point? If 10 years later, it's basically the same price, give or take, but where is the inflation today compared to 10 years ago? So think about it. If it's the same price as it was 10 years ago, give or take, then did it really outpace inflation? I'm just saying, guys, I'm just saying. So, you know, talking about some other people that agree is Dan Tapiro, who oversees more than $1 billion in investments. He's talking about Bitcoin surpassing $100,000 in the upcoming bull run. He's looking at a $100,000 Bitcoin potentially in around 2025. But if you want to hear his longer term estimate, he believes that Bitcoin is becoming an attractive store of value. And listen to this math right here. So he says it's going to attract significant capital. So he emphasized the vast potential with the total global wealth estimated at around 500 trillion. So he says, let's take a modest 5% allocation amounting to 25 trillion. Now, obviously, this isn't exactly how market cap works. It actually would work even better in our favor. But if we just come over here and sort of have a look at the Bitcoin price, well, not the price actually, if we have a look at the circulating supply and the market cap. So the market cap right now is around $738 billion, and that's what's giving us this $37,780 Bitcoin. But if we come over here and just do some very simple math, so we have 25 trillion, so there's 25 million, 25 billion, 25 trillion, right? That's 25 trillion, right? Million, billion, trillion, right? And then we divide it right here by the circulating supply. This is going to be very specific to the coin exactly out right now. So, yeah, this is going to be a really accurate number right here. We divide it by that. We actually end up with a $1.2 million Bitcoin. 1.2. It's almost 1.3 actually. So, I mean, he's obviously lowballing this, saying, yeah, 100,000. But if you imagine that it gets just 5%, and that's just the money that's out right now, you're talking about a $1.3 million Bitcoin. So again, when we run these numbers on the channel and we talk about these predictions, they're actually not that crazy. They're actually possible, right? And again, market cap, remember, you know, it's between, you know, for every dollar, you're getting about a $3 to $4 increase in the market cap, right? And I've gone over that math before, not going to do it again today. But who's even more bullish is Standard Chartered Bank, which is crazy. A bank. So they made this statement back in April. They're thinking we can get 100,000 by the end of next year. This is going to be due to approvals of ETFs, which they expect are likely to come sooner than later. And, you know, he says, we think of a number of spot Bitcoin ETFs now could be approved in Q1 2024 for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Put simply, everything is working as expected. Bitcoin dominance remains intact. Its share of overall digital asset market cap has increased to 50% from 45% in April. And again, I know what you're saying, but the ETF, right? It's all just going to be this big sell the news, and they're just going to dump on us, and it's all just a bunch of manipulation. Well, if you really do want to talk about what happened to gold when gold's ETF got approved, here's the chart right here. So right here, you can see the ETF launches, and yeah, absolutely massive. By the way, this is the double top I'm talking about. Look at this. Back in 2012, you got gold up here at around $2,000. Fast forward to today, everybody's excited about gold. But yeah, it hung out there for 10, 11 years, guys. So that's why I'm saying, did it really outpace inflation? But that's not really my point. Although it does look like a cup and handle, right? But anyway, look at that, guys. So gold went from about 410. So yeah, there we go, right there. 359% increase from the time that it was launched. So, you know, again, I don't think that it's going to launch. And you can actually see there. What if I zoom in? Look, there was a little sell the news right there. Look, pumping into the ETF, sell the news, consolidate. Oh my God, that's it, and then takes off, right? So it wouldn't be improbable to see something very similar with Bitcoin. Now we have noticed that the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust has in fact basically had its narrowest ever as far as its discount, and it's around 8.06%. Now, there is some doom and gloom again. You know, JP Morgan cautioning that the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF could actually put severe downwards pressure on Bitcoin. And they're saying if the Grayscale investment does convert its Bitcoin trust into an ETF, everybody's just going to want to get out and they're all going to want to sell. Okay, maybe they do sell. Maybe they do sell, okay? I'm not saying we're not going to see a sell the news possible event when it happens, right? That could totally happen. But look at what happened with FTX. Look at how many people lost their money. Look at how much doom and gloom. Look at how many crypto companies went under. How many VCs went bankrupt, right? And yet here we are, back above 30,000, knocking on the door of 40,000. So let the short-term people get out. The people who want to get out, let them get out. Let them sell their coins. We'll buy it, right? And it will just continue to go to the stronger hands. And Bitcoin will continue to go up and to the right forever. Now, of course, you have the SEC still investigating Binance for potential FTX-like fraud, which is just hilarious in my view because, you know, they're helping. You know, they're having talks with FTX, the biggest fraud of all, basically. And it's not like the users' funds weren't safe. No one has ever, even when they had their funds hacked, they have their Seifu, you know, funds. And yeah, no one's ever lost their money on Binance. I mean, unless you were just trading, right? You were doing stupid things, but it's not like they ever did anything with your money they weren't supposed to. And even if they did, it's not like they never had the money there to back it up. But you do have Paradigm Policy Director saying U.S. crypto regulation is likely in a holding pattern until after the 2024 election. So it is possible that although we want, you know, all this, you know, clarity to come out, you know, who knows right now? It might just be a lot of talk. They might be holding off. They might not want to shake up the markets too much. You know, who knows with the way these election years go. But here we go, having a look. So talking about, first of all, you know, Q4 tends to definitely be relatively bullish. And again, you know, having a look right here at these Decembers, generally speaking, when you have a green November, for the most part, you usually have a green December. But what's quite interesting is even when December has bad months, it doesn't really have that bad of months. You can see here was a bad month for December, only down 4%. 19%, and I know 19% might seem like a lot, but let's be honest, in Bitcoin world, it's not that much. 5% down, not that much, not that much. 40% up, 30% up, 13% up, 15% down, and then this one was really, really bad right here. This was way back in 2013. So yeah, Bitcoin hasn't had anything worse than yeah. I mean, basically since then, the worst we've had is like this 20% that kicked in right here. But ultimately, what you can basically take away from this is, generally speaking, December, when it tends to be good, it tends to be very, very good. And when it tends to be bad, it tends to be mildly bad. So basically December, based on the trajectories of, you know, having these successful Q3s, especially when you have a successful October, you know, generally speaking, you either have a very mild Q4, if you know, or you have a very, very positive Q4 leading into December. So I'm going to stick with the latter, saying that we're probably going to have a more positive than negative. Now, here's the thing. So we do have the super guppy flashing right here. Let me actually get rid of all this so you guys could just see it nice and clear. So you can see once we tend to go into the green, we tend to stay in the green in a long time. Now, the one thing that we did notice was we had this RSI showing us the signal crossing over the 70, but it did it back here in the neutral blue. The last time that we actually had it do that was back here, you could argue. Is that the only one? Let me see. See, now I took my charts off. I got to put them back on. Yeah, so basically right there. And, that did turn out to be a mid-cycle rally. But again, if it wasn't for this COVID dip that we had right here, it would have just been sort of this healthy sideways accumulation continuing into the rest of the bull market. So again, this could suggest that there could be a possible pull down, maybe to this area, maybe back in the green. That would say that the potential target of a pullback would be around 30,900, with arguably the lowest area from where we are right now to about 28,800. So, going down to 20,000, 10,000 is probably not going to end up happening. The lowest we should really see Bitcoin, unless we have some kind of a COVID event, should probably be around 28,000, and it might not even be possible to get down to that area again. Remember, we had never seen this before, where we had all these moving averages converging, and even though you can see right here, it looks very small on the chart now, Bitcoin essentially had this like 22, 23% pullback, and what ended up happening was we actually got above all of that. Not only did we break out, we actually retested all of the moving averages as support, and we actually put in an arguable bump and run pattern, right, where we came down and sprung off, while also having the money flow continuing to the upside. So, are we getting overheated? I would argue that, again, how many weeks have we spent here trying to break out of this upward sloping channel? 1, 2, 3, we're on a month of trying to break out of this channel. So, you could say that, yes, this is good, healthy consolidation. We're getting ready to break out. But obviously, if there is no capital inflow, or at least it can't outperform the people who are taking profits at these levels, then yeah, having a retest down potentially to this trend right here is possible, to even the lower part of the band, which, what do you know, guys, brings us right down to about that $28,000 low, which would coincide with the low of this guppy. So again, everything is aligning exactly how it should be, The reason that I was concerned is because we did have the VRVP right here, and we've had this chart for quite some time. I still have a $47,000 target for Bitcoin, this blue area right here, but at the same time, you could see that this is an area where, we may see a bit of resistance. Now, honestly, if we do get above this area that we're at right now, you could see above me, there's really not much going on here. So it could be a very fast move. Breaking above 39,000 roughly, you could see almost a moonshot to 47, which at that point, I would personally say we're probably overextended, right? We're getting into that area, but it doesn't mean overextended in the sense that we're not going to continue to the upside midterm. It just might mean a short-term breather. And, we noticed that we had this kiss of death, remember, on the Dixie, and we came down here, we came up, we could not get, it's not a textbook kiss of death. If it was a textbook, it would have actually stopped right at this level. But okay, so we attempted to get to the heart line, we still failed, we fell, and now, are we gonna have this bounce here at the 102? Remember, we have had this area as a potential. So, if the Dixie starts to, move back up again, you could see risk assets, maybe even things like Bitcoin move to the downside, but I think that this is gonna begin a much longer downtrend. That's just what I believe is going to happen. But again, if you do get out of that blue zone, 41,000 would be that area. But like I said, this is based on support resistance. This is not based on volume. Based on volume, you could have a very easy move to around that $47,000. And again, taking the most accurate log curve extended from CryptoCon, this chart, which is one of the most accurate curve charts on log that I've ever seen, it would suggest that we are still down here. Now, we're not quite in the green zone, which would be the ultimate fire sale, but we are in this blue area, and the top of this blue area represents the fair value. And you can see that that's about where we're at right now. So yes, it does tend to occasionally, you could say, oscillate around this area, but, judging on these bands based on this potential move and the 4-year cycle, if you are still a believer in that, that still puts Bitcoin at a low of 94,000 to about a high of 180,000. And this is just based on historical moves. This isn't based on updated demand or the ETF or anything like that, which could totally throw a wrench in the gears in a bullish way, right? Again, we do have the Gaussian channel flashing green, just like the guppy. Once it tends to flash green, it tends to stay green for a very long time, and Bitcoin tends to remain remain above it. And we also have found that we start to get these megaphone patterns that form, at some point into this channel. And you can see right here, this was a pretty bad deviation. So, eventually these charts may not work after a while, with Bitcoin once we have all this money come in. But right now, you can see that we did have a nice retest, not only at the bottom of the channel, but also on this upward support. And we are possibly putting in another one of these bullish megaphone channels. So again, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Today's video, a little bit longer, but I haven't been able to make videos. It's been just unbelievably crazy this past month for me. Just a lot of stuff going on, guys. But I try to bring you as much content as possible. I don't want to oversaturate. There's a lot of channels, and I know everybody wants videos every day. There are channels that put videos out every day, but the question is there value in that all the time? Sometimes there is, when things are great. I'll be making videos every day. Right now, let's be honest, it was a little bit boring, not too much going on. But I actually thought we were going to have more of a volatile move personally by the end of this week. We haven't really seen that yet. So that's very interesting to me. I guess you could just say at this point, maybe that's just the coil getting tighter and tighter and tighter. At some point, it's going to have to explode, right? So also, again, just friendly reminder, if you do want to check out Meta Signals, that we have minted over 500 NFTs. This is for lifetime access to literally all future products forever. You're grandfathered in. Essentially, you get, literally lifetime access. So considering that these guys are, and again, guys, I just want you to, know this isn't my, some people think this is my thing. I'm obviously just an investor and an advisor in this, but because of what I've seen in a lot of, we have over 2,500 people in the Discord. And yeah, you could see some of these calls. These are just, there's more of them in there. These are just a couple screenshots. But ultimately, this thing is going for $5,400 a year. You can get it right now for 1.34 ETH. Obviously, at some point, it's going to be up to 3 ETH, which might seem expensive. But again, when you're considering lifetime access, but that's up to you guys. Obviously, and the thing is I'm not recommending that you just take these signals blindly. However, if you kind of just took these signals blindly, they've been killing it lately. Now, I'm not saying you should do that. It's pretty cool that it's working out. They have a very high success rate. So check it out. If not, guys, DCA, HODL, whatever you want. Not financial advice, guys. You know how it goes. I'll be here either way. And yeah, I think the altcoins could get interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Eventually, I think, I don't want to say too much about altcoins on this channel because they're very risky and speculative. And a lot of people just I'll talk about something and then people will just go buy it. And then if it dumps, people think it's I'm involved in that. I don't do that, clearly. But, as these opportunities arise, my end goal has always been to just make more Bitcoin. I just want to get more Bitcoin. I think I've been very transparent about that on this channel. But if you can trade, if you can buy some of the altcoins to flip them into Bitcoin, great. Now, I know some Bitcoin maxis, they've given me some hate for that. Well, I'm sorry. I'm as close to being a Bitcoin maxi as you can be, but I'm not one. I'm sorry. There is value to some of these other things. 99% of them, no, there's not. But you can definitely trade them. You could definitely make money off of them, and you could definitely accumulate more Bitcoin in the process. So if that's not cool, then I don't know. That's my opinion on things. So anyway, I don't know why, a little bit of rant there. There's always these guys in the comments about whatever. So anyway, I love you guys. You're awesome. Hope you're having a wonderful week, day. I feel like it's been a while since we've been on the channel. Again, guys, don't forget, there's been a lot of exchanges lately doing a lot of this KYC crap, which, hey, I can't tell you what to do on the channel, but I'm not going to pretty much talk about any more of those exchanges. So, the ones that I will be mentioning will be more user-friendly, let's just say. But obviously, guys, if you do want to learn how to trade, make sure you check out the tutorial popping up right here, right now. This is for Apex. They are decentralized. They're awesome. They have fees of 40 cents per trade. It's incredible. So anyway, guys, that's it for me. I love you. You're awesome. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.